Library of Heaven's Path. Chapter 15, Heaven's Path Divine Art. Needless to say, Hongtian Academy or even those top sects, might not even have God or saint cultivation technique. Besides, even they have it, it was hidden deep inside the sect and normal people would be unable to obtain it. What he wanted to do was to create such a skill, so that his training would be more efficient so as to hasten the rate of the rise of his cultivation by leaps and bounds. I don't have any 4-dan cultivation method. Let me go to the teacher compendium pavilion to take a look. Practicing the Hongtian 9-dan formula, the cultivator could only retrieve the secret manual for the next realm after breaking through their current realm. At this moment, he only had the cultivation method for 3-dan. He had yet to see the one for 4-dan. Walking out, the sun hadn't set for too long and there were still quite a few passerby on the road. The bright moonlight reflected on the surface of the pavement, dyeing it with a layer of silver. A few couples who had just tasted the forbidden fruit were snuggling under the tree as they whispered sweet nothings to one another. Even so, the surroundings have a serene atmosphere. Zhang Xuan didn't bother himself with these. Instead, he hastened his footsteps and soon, a giant pavilion appeared before him. The compendium pavilion was split into two main sectors, teacher and student. Within it lied the compendium of all kinds of secret manuals and cultivation techniques. It was one of the most important locations in the entire academy. Elder Mo. Walking to the entrance, he bowed to an elderly who was sitting at a proximity from the great door. Elder Mo was one of the guardians of the compendium pavilion. It was unknown what realm he had reached, but it was said that he was ranked among the top in the academy in terms of his strength. However, as he hadn't fought for many years, no one could tell his actual strength for sure. "You're here. You have reached Fighter 4-dan?" Elder Mo looked over and stroked his sparse beard. "It is just luck." Zhang Xuan didn't try to conceal the fact that he had reached Fighter 4-dan. "Good, good. Train harder, the academy still needs young blood like you." Elder Mo nodded his head in satisfaction. "Yes." Zhang Xuan didn't continue speaking and instead, lifted his leg to walk into the room. The moment he left, Elder Mo shook his head and lamented, "He is a good child, just that he is lacking a little in talent and is slightly too slow in his cultivation." Other cultivators took around 2 years to break through Fighter 3-dan whereas Zhang Xuan took a whole 3 years to do so. His talent was indeed subpar. Upon reaching Fighter 4-dan, if he were to train properly, he should still be able to become an average teacher. Just that, I hope he doesn't score too badly for his teacher qualification examination the next time. After muttering for a bit, Elder Mo didn't go on any further and shut his eyes once more. Zhang Xuan was one of the more polite ones among the numerous young teachers. He didn't really like him, but neither did he dislike him. It was just that he found it lamentable for him to be lacking in talent. Oblivious to the mutterings of Elder Mo, Zhang Xuan walked into the compendium pavilion. Although the Hongtian Academy's compendium pavilion was of significant size, nowhere paling in comparison to the working location of his previous life, it was still much smaller than the Library of Heaven's Path in his mind. The two weren't even on the same level. He walked quickly to the cultivation technique section and to the 4th row of it. Indeed, the Hongtian 9-dan formula 4-dan cultivation technique was in here. Reaching out to grab it, he casually flipped through it. Who? A similar secret manual appeared in his mind. Taking a look, it was around the same as the one for 3-dan, there were more than 1,000 flaws. There are other secret manuals here as well. Let me take a look at them as well. After the prior experience with breaking through, Zhang Xuan didn't focus on the flaws in it and instead looked towards the bookshelf before him. On the bookshelf of the 4th row, there was an amazing amount of different kinds of cultivation technique manuals. They were all cultivation techniques for 4-dan and there were quite plenty of notes and explanations in them left behind by predecessors. Just by a rough look, there were around a few thousand of them. If it was someone else, their eyes would definitely blur from the sight. After all, there were so many books with countless notes left in them. Furthermore, some of the theories for the cultivation techniques are at ends with each other, so it was hard to gauge whether which one was the right one. If one were to randomly cultivate without knowing better, it was possible for them to go berserk. However, Zhang Xuan was different. Possessing the library of Heaven's Path, he was capable of telling which one was the right one. He didn't hesitate to grab a book and flip through it. Who? A similar book appeared in his mind. Zhang Xuan didn't stop and picked up the next one. He wasn't browsing through them nor picking them. Rather, he was trying to increase the number of books in the library of Heaven's Path, so that he could derive a more precise cultivation method. Hualala. The sound of flipping pages filled the entire room. A weak will. Impatient and unrealistic. Hearing those words, Elder Mo frowned. Since Zhang Xuan had already chosen to cultivate in the Hongtian 9 Dan formula, then he shouldn't think about any other skills. He should make use of the time to copy the formula for the 4 Dan, so that he could analyze it and start training. Although it was possible to make use the strengths of others to make up for the flaws of one, the more miscellaneous knowledge one read, the easier it was for one to get impatient and rash. In the end, it was a small thing if he achieved nothing in the end. If things go wrong, it was very possible for him to go berserk and ruin his cultivation. 30 years ago, a talented genius blessed with great talents who thought he was much greater than others insisted on looking through the various cultivation techniques to create an ultimate one tailored to him. In the end, due to reading too many manuals, he became uncertain of the route he should walk on and his cultivation went berserk. As an individual, he became insane as well. Being greedy would cause indigestion. This was the absolute truth and reality. For him to take 3 years to break through Genkai realm, his talent was apparent. With such talent, he should just obediently cultivate 4 Dan of Hongtian 9 Dan formula. Yet, he chose to flip through other manuals. Was he just trying to seek for something thrilling? With one look, one could tell he was an unrealistic fellow. The good impression that he held towards Zhang Xuan disappeared without a trace. Putting on a show just to obtain the fleeting praises of the crowd. After a cold harumph, he realized that Zhang Xuan was just casually flipping through without taking a careful look at them. Elder Mo's eyebrows knitted even closer together and he felt a little disgusted with him. If one were to study those manual closer, even though they were being unrealistic, they would still obtain some knowledge on them. However, this fellow simply and casually flipped through it, and given the speed he flipped at, even Elder Mo himself was unable to look through the contents properly. If so, what could a lad who had just reached Fighter 4 Dan see? Now, he was truly putting on a show to obtain the fleeting praises of the crowd. The Academy's culture is really degenerating, getting worse with each passing generation. After those words, he shut his eyes, refusing to bother with this unrealistic fellow anymore. I'm done. His pace of browsing was extremely fast. He was able to finish flipping through a normal manual in just 1 or 2 breaths. In 2 hours, he finished browsing through all of the cultivation manuals, and thousands of identical books had appeared in the library of Heaven's Path. Time to return to assess them. Knowing that his aim had been achieved, he smiled and walked towards the outside without hesitation. You aren't going to copy any notes? Seeing him leaving empty-handed, Elder Mo couldn't resist asking. Even if he is unrealistic, he should at least copy the secret manual, so that he can analyze it after returning to his living quarters. Coming and leaving empty-handed, are you coming here to play? It's okay, I am actually just taking a casual look. Unsure about what the other party was thinking about, Zhang Xuan smiled and took his leave. Taking a casual look? Frivolous. The Academy should punish this fellow. How can such a frivolous person be a teacher? Elder Mo waved his hand in anger. Cultivation manuals were the core of every cultivator, and every cultivator should hold some respect towards them. However, this fellow only came to take a look and returned back after casually flipping through them. His behavior was unacceptable. Looks like he should have a talk with the principal to deal with these teachers who were sullying the culture of the academy. Returning back to his living quarters, Zhang Xuan took out pen and papers and flipped through the Hongtian 9 Dan Formula 4 Dan manual to copy down the correct portions of it. Then, he took out another book and copied down the correct portions as well. After flipping through a few of them, Zhang Xuan rubbed his temples. It was actually quite troublesome and tiring to flip through a few thousand books like that. It wasn't as simple as he thought it would be. Just when he was thinking about how he could hasten his pace, his mind suddenly jolted again. The thousands of books that was just compiled in the library of Heaven's Path crumpled and slowly merged as one. When the few thousand books merged together completely with a crisp sound to form a single book. There wasn't any name on the book. Zhang Xuan casually flipped through it. This is the compilation of the correct roots in the few thousand secret manuals. After taking a look at it, Zhang Xuan's face flushed red from excitement. Previously, he was still troubled by how he could find the correct root out of a few thousand of books. It would have been an arduous task taking a long period of time. Never in his dreams would he expect that the library would compile it automatically. This book, there isn't a single flaw in it. The nameless book was the compilation of all of the correct cultivation root, and there wasn't a single flaw in it. The contents of it were no longer Hongtian 9 Dan formula or any one of the individual manual that was compiled into it. It could be said to be something no one had ever seen before. Since it is the correct method chosen and compiled by the Library of Heaven's Path, let's call it Heaven's Path Divine Art. A thought flashed through his mind and he decided on the name of the nameless manual. When, as though sensing his thoughts, the empty cover trembled and 4 words appeared on it. Heaven's Path Divine Art.